Hey everyone, let's talk about mind reading and foresight. Are they dangerous gifts or a blessing to a dragon bestowed with the power? And would I actually consider having these powers myself? Let's take a look. In Wings of Fire, some NightWing dragonets are born with the ability to see into the future or read other dragons' minds. We have seen these powers in action in Arc 2 novels with varied results and reactions from several dragons. We've seen friendships unite and fall because of these gifts. They have also prevented disaster and have been the cause of discomfort among several characters in the series. So we ask this question: NightWing powers, are they a blessing or a burden? In the beginning of Arc 2, Moon-blessed Nightwings were thought to be gone from the tribe. That was until Moonwatcher introduced herself, revealing that she had both powers. Let's start with mind reading first. In Moon's perspective, we see that her mind reading is much more powerful than her foresight. It's so potent that she gets extremely uneasy listening to so many thoughts at once. Having that type of mental pressure can lead to discordance when the thoughts aren't drowned out by other stimuli. Overall, this can affect how the mind reader thinks and acts, hindering their own ability to perform. Just imagine trying to play an instrument in front of a large crowd when you can hear every single criticism, comment, and compliment towards you. I imagine most people wouldn't be able to focus at all, leading to poor performance. We also need to explore how far the mind reading stretches. In Moon Rising, we visually see that Moon can hear some semblance of thoughts when she wanders the halls of Jade Mountain. This too can drive someone mad with constant mental stimulation. Having some peace and quiet once in a while can be helpful, but mind reading isn't something you turn off like a switch. This doesn't mean that mind reading is mostly bad though. With adequate training and focus, mind readers can easily negate these issues entirely. We even see this happen in Arc 2 when Moon employs a technique of using rain sounds to suppress other dragons' minds. There are millions of applications using mind reading, from knowing what someone thinks about them to implicit interrogation. Most of us would probably use it to find juicy gossip among friends, or even find out who has a romantic crush on someone. However, there is a bit of an ethical issue when using mind reading, which is explored in Moon Rising. This is when Moon reveals that she's been reading their minds the entire time, which gets a really hostile reaction from her friends. It pushes them to the point of losing trust in Moon. Mind readers would need to speak up about their ability before making friends so that everyone is on the same page. Although this seems like a detriment, revealing this power can instill trust within the group. I believe mind readers would need to ask to poke into their friends' minds, and those who really don't want their minds read could probably invest in Skyfire. Little note, Skyfire is just a stone that prevents mind readers from accessing their mind when they make contact with it. Ultimately, with a strong mental fortitude, mind reading can be bearable, but it's definitely not for everyone. You can gain very valuable information from other dragons, but for everyday use, the most you'll probably get is seeing how much someone admires your appearance. Although in Pyria, because the continent is slowly recovering from war, you can probably see who is affected based on their thoughts, which I guess can be useful. Now, would I employ mind reading to myself? Personally, I wouldn't. Knowing what everyone thinks all the time can be exhausting and a bit detrimental to my own experience. I believe using mind reading on others is a breach of privacy, which isn't exactly my style of communication. I also feel that reading others' emotions is a lot more natural than reading minds. This means you'll be getting fewer gazes of confusion. Moving on to future sight, Moon's foresight is very potent. Most of the time it doesn't result in cryptic messages, and it has saved her friends more than once. However, the quantity of visions is very limited, which is mediocre at best. From Darkstalker Legends, we learn that having several visions can cause really painful headaches. Clearsight is a prime example. She reports having headaches whenever a barrage of futures come crashing in, which isn't exactly something she can control, by the way. Having powerful foresight like Clearsight is kind of similar to reading a novel. Imagine reading Wings of Fire for the first time, and then you suddenly finish each novel in under a minute. You're getting so much information at once, from knowing that clay is fireproof to the reveal of the fake prophecy. Not only that, but imagine having 5 other iterations of Wings of Fire. The information overload by itself can cause quite a commotion in your brain, which is why Clarissa had to write it all down when she was just a dragonette. Although, I'm not gonna lie, knowing 5 other versions of Wings of Fire would be so cool, but I digress. As far as I know, these headaches don't get any better over time because of the constant flow of new information. The spontaneous nature of these visions could also distract the seer from their current goal. Seers who constantly try to ensure that they don't have any hardship can really derail them from having the best life they can. Mistakes and hardship is what helps us grow as individuals. Actively avoiding that can be a real detriment to one's growth psychologically. Although the seer may dodge an uncomfortable problem, they won't have the benefit of learning from their mistakes. Of course, this problem doesn't apply to every hardship, but it's something to consider. We can counter by saying that they've looked into the future and saw a mistake they made, so they would try to change the outcome. But what if they saw their desired future by making that particular mistake? Then it would help them grow as a character and reach the future they want. Speaking of which, this opens up why future sight could be incredibly useful. One positive aspect is the fact that you know what's possible in your current timeline. Every world has unknown possibilities, and having that sense of security can positively affect your way of life. Let's say you have a vision of achieving your dream job. That by itself can encourage you to perform to your absolute best. Because you know for sure that you can attain your goal, you'll be encouraged to work towards it. Conversely, knowing your eventual downfall can cause someone to try to change their fate. Whether this is considered good or bad is a completely different topic altogether. We've seen this happen with Darkstalker and Clearsight with varying results. Now, would I like to be a seer? I personally wouldn't become a seer at all. As much as I would want a sense of security, I want my life to be an adventure. I'm not exactly looking for the most optimal life, and living how I am now is how I want to live. I feel as though if I accept future sight, it would mean that I'm not comfortable with how I am at the moment, and that's completely false. Right now, I'm content where I am, no matter what hardships I face to get to this position. So what do you think? Would you consider gaining mind reading or future sight? Maybe you would even like both. Let me know in the comments about what you think. Subscribe for more Wings of Fire, and as always, thanks for listening. This means that we don't see Vitter be obliterated on screen. This may mean that we don't see it. Now, because we don't have an official classification, maybe the scene may play out in a way that doesn't get Vitter obliterated. Oh my gosh.